Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. On April 25th, which was a Friday, it's after 6 p.m., we received an email saying all of our AmeriCorps programs were terminated and our Volunteer Generation Fund program. So that was over $14 million in grants. We had over 400 members serving around the state, and they were told to stop service immediately.
Since April, a legal and financial battle has taken place over the AmeriCorps program in the U.S. The Trump administration cut $400 million to the National Civilian Community Corps and reneged over $550 million in congressionally approved funding for this year. Service members were also discharged before the end of their term, effectively halting all programming. This month, U.S. District Judge Deborah Boardman issued a preliminary injunction ordering federal government to restore AmeriCorps programs and funding in 24 states, including Wisconsin, that sued the Trump administration over the cuts. Wisconsin Watch met with members of organizations across Wisconsin affected by the initial cuts and asked what they think about the future of the program.
I heard another AmeriCorps program quote that it was essentially like flying a plane and having the gas removed.
We are bringing members slowly back to service, but it's much harder to, rebuild than it is to destroy. I mean, it is not fun living under a threat of constant termination, and it just breeds uncertainty.
I used to say that AmeriCorps was the federal government's best kept secret. It's been going on for, half a century. It was doing all the things that people think are really important. Historically, it built roads and helped take care of federal disasters. I'm learning that we're going to have to be more articulate and more visible about the positive role that government can play in your life, because people may not just know.
AmeriCorps supported our Schools of Hope, which is elementary literacy tutoring, and high school math algebra tutoring for nearly 30 years. We have supported over 113,000 students over the course of those 30 years. There's already a really large gap for our children of color reading at grade proficiency. And so by removing tutors from these programs, right, that's not going to help lessen that gap any further.
And Serve Wisconsin is the state commission for national and community service. And our job is to promote service and volunteerism. And we do that primarily by granting out federal funds from AmeriCorps to engage AmeriCorps members in service and also support volunteer efforts around the state.
So we built an entire business model with these AmeriCorps members in our organization's ability to provide these summer camps at no cost and with transportation to every student within the Eau Claire County.
We have protected well over 26,000 acres, and about 7,000 of those are open to the public. Without the help of our AmeriCorps position and our summer interns, we could never accomplish the kind of work we need to as stewards of the land.
And so AmeriCorps was really that jumping off point of introducing myself to how to pitch a tent, how to live outdoors, how to really live in the world, in the natural environment. And without AmeriCorps, I wouldn't have been able to have those experiences because my parents both worked a lot growing up and we never really got to do those things. And I'm studying environmental studies and forestry so that maybe I could one day be a ranger.
Our members are serving in schools. They're serving at your local nonprofits. We don't have our own building, our own infrastructure, which is part of the joy of AmeriCorps, is because we can go where we're needed. June 5th, we received notice for the injunction that the terminations were illegal.
It said that every program that was a part of the lawsuit had to be restored to the full funding that was already allocated in the budget. And that was music to our ears. Obviously, the Trump administration is allowed to appeal our state agencies and the programs that were already in the budget. That has been restored.
We can fundraise for a while, but that's not sustainable. People just only have so much money that they can share with us, and they're passionate about what's happening in the moment, but it just long term, it's not the solution.
And just to give it like an economic impact, for every dollar of federal money that's been invested, $17 of positive economic impact are a result of every AmeriCorps service.
And if there are some inefficiencies, then you direct your watchdogs towards those areas. It's not every program that's doing that. So you're hurting the entire state of Wisconsin and the nation by removing the entire program.
We are spending more time trying to figure out how do we just run the program, but what do we do in the event that we don't get the reimbursement in time? What does it look like if all of a sudden funding is stopped again through a freeze because they just decided to do that and we're not able to pull those funds down? We stopped recruiting members for our next year cycle because we had no funding to cover the cost of their stipends and their education award.
It's going to take an incredible commitment from both the federal government to ensure people that they won't do this again, and from people to sign up who would be willing to volunteer.
So there was many staff members that I had been talking to at AmeriCorps HQ in DC. They have not been rehired and they will most likely not be rehired. And so in many ways, it's a win in a dark time.
We could also say that the progress we've made in closing the achievement gaps risks is going to be undone. And that's unfortunate. That's the long-term effect. And that our ability to recruit and support AmeriCorps members who are essential to the success of these programs is severely compromised.
So currently the injunction is for current year funding, and those funds for all of our programs run out at the end of August. So, we are in June and our funding for this fiscal year still has not been awarded. So the future is uncertain.
It's not just about tax dollars. This is about getting people an opportunity to improve their lives. That's the American dream.
Hopefully the government kind of stops with AmeriCorps and then reevaluates what they did and they find the importance of it again, because it is super important.
Again, it's so hard to know, like a year from now, where this will all be. But we're budgeting to bring an AmeriCorps person back.
We might be down now, but I don't think we're out. We have over 30,000 people serving every year across the nation as AmeriCorps members. So many of our members are like, I am serving because when I went to after school program at a Boys and Girls Club, who paid attention to me was an AmeriCorps member.
And so my hope is that this lesson is to everyone listening, watching, and learning about this, that we have processes in local government and state government and federal government that we can pull together to figure out if we want to fund something or not. But making cruel cuts midway through a program to make a political point has disastrous consequences, and we deserve better.